get some good surfing in?
There hasn't been much lately. So, no, I haven't. I've been doing a lot of hiking, but no surfing.
That's good. Keep you in shape.
Yeah. I could get in some surfing.
This is my voice a little here. We were at a wedding over the weekend.
Oh, how was that?
It was actually a very nice wedding. But it's like all the way to Virginia for 3 days and then all the way back.
Jeez. Who's getting married?
Eva's niece. So, my niece, too.
Oh, nice. How old is she?
Christian's age, 25.
Oh, just a kid.
Yeah, she's already got an almost 2-year-old, though.
Really?
So,
They finally decided to tie the knot, huh?
They decided to tie the knot, exactly.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Better late than never.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's kind of young to be parent. Well, it's not that young to be parents. My in-laws were parents when they were 26 with my wife. She was born when they were 26. So, actually, they were 25, actually.
Yeah, Eva was 20, almost 25 when we got married.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, we had Christian.
Yeah, we waited 10 years. All right. Shufu.
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 Sounds like a sushi dish.
Yeah. He may not recognize the number, so I might have to call him, but that's okay. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Mike, it's Edward Brown and Bruce McGowan.
Shufu! What's happening, dude?
Actually, I'm pulling into the arena.
Boy, you're getting there early. I'll be there in about an hour. But
I got a pregame show.
You guys are doing this. Is ABC carrying the game? I guess they are because ESPN.
Okay.
You guys are doing a postgame.
How long have you been doing sports?
Too long. Too many years.
Always have the final.
You guys always have the. So you're doing a postgame show then too?
3 and post.
How long is your post?
At least an hour.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So,
you and Larry, and who else?
Kerry Keating and Donald Boyle.
Oh, that's great. Those are good guys.
And whoever we can find pregame, we'll get a lot of the ABC announcer.
Yeah.
Energy.
Oh, that sounds good.
Those turns.
Well, let's get you out of the way so you can get to work here.
All right, you ready?
Hey, you know what? Give me minutes here.
Yeah, no
Okay,
problem.
sure, yeah,
No problem. You know what we'll do? We got to record something. So
yeah, we
you want
just
to
hang out.
should
Yeah.
we just call you back in a minute?
Yeah, why don't you call about that to get
Perfect.
Mike and then go in.
Yeah.
No, that actually works out really well, Mike. So
2 minutes.
Yeah,
we'll call you right back.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, that's actually perfect.
Yeah, let me get this out of the way.
Okay, here we go. Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality.
You know how old that makes me feel when you say long time? That's true, though.
It's true. Take it as a compliment.
I do.
Right.
Thank you.
That lets people know your experience.
Yeah, it lets people know I'm, on the other side of the hill.
Hey, so am I. So. All right, today's show is going to be fun. Who's going to be our guest today?
Yeah, we got Mike Shuman, a good friend of mine, former San Francisco 49er, but he's been working for many years. We worked together actually in radio for a while. He is a television anchor at the local ABC station in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and he will be doing a pre- and a post-game show on the NBA Finals. So we're going to talk some NBA hoops, LeBron versus Steph and Kevin Durant. That'll be a lot of fun.
It seems like deja vu all over again.
Yeah, I know, three times in a row. Well, the good news is, and we'll get into this, and I think the best thing about this series is both teams are healthy, and both teams are probably as strong as they've ever been. Cleveland is much better than they were last year, and the Warriors are much better than they were last year. So this should be a great series.
Yeah, I totally agree. I guess Pachulia is healthy.
He's healthy,
right?
And I don't see any other real problems on the Warriors as far as, Steph Curry has a slightly swollen left arm, but it's not really bothering him. It's just a little bursitis. Cleveland, as far as I know, I don't think anybody's hurting on that team.
Yeah, we got to pull Kelly Olynyk and yank Love's shoulder out. No. I just want to see it.
Kelly Olynyk, what a dirty player he was. Or he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't really show up for the semis, did he?
Wow, he had that one great game, and what happened? Boston was a strange exit that they win 2 games and then they just fell apart.
I like that young kid, the big one.
Okay. Which one are you talking about?
The guy who subs in for Kelly. Sebzo. He's got.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I can't pronounce his name.
It's kind of hard. Okay.
Yeah.
This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are still providing over 7.5% secured by real estate. Doesn't get any more conservative than that. And our trivia question is going to be trivia questions are banned from baseball. So
I like that.
That'll be kind of fun. All right.
Okay. Talk about the 1919 Black Sox. Huh?
Well, that'll be one of them,
Yeah.
maybe. Okay, check out PacificPrivateMoney.com. All right, don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be right back. All right.
Give Shu Fu a call. Shu Fu. He was the first player to go over and congratulate Dwight Clark when he caught that touchdown. I should mention that right at the top. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah,
and we'll get into that briefly because he's always got a good story to tell.
Yeah.
And he and Dwight are really good friends.
So he's doing ABC Sports.
Yeah, he does the nightly sports updates television on the nightly news.
Yeah.
We worked together at KNBR back in 91 through 93. Then he got fired, and he was lucky. He got picked up by KGO right away.
Oh, that's good.
And a friend over there.
Yeah, he does a good job.
Yeah, he was. It's interesting. He replaced Kevin Radich when Kevin left, and then he was fired, and I got put in his place, which I was not happy about, working the mornings. And luckily, I got moved out of that shortly thereafter, about a year. It was such a relief. Hated getting up at 3 a.m. I don't mind doing it once in a while, but on a regular basis, it was just awful. It just threw my life into chaos. I was a night person. I went to games, and I still ended up going to games, and as a result, I had no sleep. I just would. It was terrible. Yeah, and the only reason I was doing the mornings is Frank and Mike wanted me in the mornings, which was nice, but I liked Frank and Mike, but I did not like doing mornings. Just hated it. Hated it.
Yeah, 3 a.m. is.
Well, you got to get up. Yeah, 3. Actually, 3. I could get up at 3:30, but I'd be at the station at 4:30. And I'd be on the air at 5, and it was just like,
It's still dark out.
Yeah.
That's kind of tough.
Especially in the wintertime. All right.
Yeah.
No fun.
All right, let's see if we can get back.
We've had Shuman on before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Two times.
2 times?
I think
Shu-fu. He always calls me Goo, so I call him Shu-fu.
Oh, okay.
Goo.
Yeah, the shoe foo fits.
He's gonna stiff us now. He's not gonna answer the phone.
Hey, there he is.
Shu, it's Goo.
Goo and
Goo and Shu.
What's my nickname?
That's your nickname? No, what is your nickname? I don't know
nickname?
what's your nickname.
Big Ed, they used to call me. Okay.
All right.
All right, Mike, are you ready? We know you're busy, so we're going to get right started here. Here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Bruce, who's on our phone?
Yeah, we got Mike Shuman, good friend of mine, former San Francisco 49er, longtime KGO television sports anchor, who has been covering the Warriors very closely the last couple of years, traveling on the road with the team when they go to the playoffs. And before we get into the basketball, Mike, I got to have you tell a little story because a lot of people don't know this. When Dwight Clark made his iconic catch that gave the Niners the NFC title in 1981 and ushered in that whole long decade and a half of dominance in the NFL, and who should be the first guy to greet him coming off the field? There's a great shot of you. NFL Films immortalized it. Is you're giving your buddy a hug, and talk about that moment for a minute because that was not a planned play. People seem to think that was a design play. Actually, Dwight Clark was kind of the secondary guy, wasn't he?
Well, it actually was a design play. We practiced it at work, and it was either go through it away or I made the catch. The margin of error there. And actually, I was in the previous time, the other time when we switched to Chris Collins, and if you recall, Joe was ready by 10 feet. I've never seen him miss somebody so bad. We all kind of thought that was our chance, and we ran another in the next play. White runs in and said, they got it. We never saw a signal from the sideline. To this day, I give him grief. He stole my cat.
There you go. Hey, how's he doing, by the way? Because I know Dwight has ALS, and he came out and talked about that. And there's been speculation he might have accelerated because of the football, the collisions on the field. I mean, you guys are pretty good friends. Has he talked about it much, or is he just trying to live his life as positively as possible and take each day as it comes?
I think he's living his life as positive as he can, and he's still doing autograph shows while he can. Before he loses, movement in his hands. And, he's accepted the fact that he has it, trying to enjoy the rest of his life. So it could go on for years. It could be doesn't know, we don't know, but we're all kind of going through the concussion protocol now with the NFL.
Yeah.
I said to my neurologist, kind of finding out our death sentence, between the big four of ALS, dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. And it's almost like waiting for all of us. And I think the next generation is going to have to think twice about getting into the sport. So it'll be interesting. But he's doing as well as he can, and he's being real positive. They're going to honor him. I think it's October 22nd against Dallas this year. And
In Dallas.
so,
No.
Yeah, in Dallas. They love him down there.
he's been visiting with Eddie. He was up in Montana with Eddie. He went back to Eddie's benefit Tampa.
Eddie being Eddie DeBartolo Jr., the former 49er owner. Yeah.
And so he's trying to enjoy his life, and he's doing well. But getting back to your question, what happened was after he made that catch, he got surrounded by everybody in the corner of the end zone. I was actually the last person to greet him on the field.
Oh, is that right?
Everybody was in that pile. And ESPN cut all that out because you couldn't see Dwight. And then they saw me, and he tried to give a high 10 on the field. And I said to him, going to the Super Bowl with different language, of course. But then, of course, it almost got blown away when Bruce Pearson made that catch, and they needed one more point for a field goal. And you never heard of the catch. So that's what a game of inches is, a memory that nobody will ever forget.
And of course, when you guys get to Pontiac, Michigan, which was one of the most improbable places to have a Super Bowl, it was freezing cold. Bill Walsh, to loosen the team up, did something funny at the team hotel. Tell us that story too, because I want to get into the basketball, but there are so many good stories about that 49er team. And what did Walsh do to kind of loosen you guys up?
Well, the head coaches went ahead of the team, to do press conferences. We got there, like you said, it was the first Super Bowl ever in the Northeast, in Detroit. And they did it for the car companies, apparently. And anyway, it was miserable. We had nothing to do. We had to tour of Motown and I think a Cadillac plant or go over to Toronto or something. I can't remember. But there really wasn't a whole lot to do. We were stuck in our room. Anyway, we get there and get off the bus. I was the first one off the bus. And I just, Melvin, as it turns out, Bill Walsh, dressed up, trying to grab my bag, and I'm thinking I was going to make money off it already. I got it, old man, kind of thing, and just walk right by him. So we're coming back down the elevator, and Con Air, that's our offensive guard, I see Bill dressed up as the Seahawks. I go, that was Bill? Never get in the Super Bowl now. I just gave him a forearm by knocking him off.
I heard this story about how Bill, I guess, gave the actual guy who was wearing that $10. He said he put it on and it smelled like the guy had left, had gone to the gym and worked out and hadn't taken it to the cleaners or something.
And then Joe, I was the first one to recognize him, and he says, I don't have any money for a tip, and the cat's out of the bag.
Okay.
That's funny.
First time there.
Great.
It's funny because you played the Bengals. I wonder if they kind of had a small advantage for playing in cold weather.
Well, they're playing indoors though. That was the thing.
True, but
Yeah.
Yeah, if you recall, San Diego had beat Miami in that really triple overtime game.
That's right.
And San Diego lost to Cincinnati in a freezing game in Cincinnati. And that was probably the one Super Bowl Dan Fouts should have won.
Yeah.
And, because they lost in that cold weather, they threw the ball every down. And believe me, there were 16 to 18 left in the playoffs. 7 of them had more talent than we did.
Yeah, that was that.
I was on that team.
Yeah, that was a team that really did catch lightning in a bottle because it wasn't until the next couple of years that you really came back. Well, let's talk about the here and the now, though.
And one last thing. Crumry.
Tim
breaks,
Crumry.
Yeah, he breaks his leg like in the second play.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was a big advantage for us.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We got up 21-0, I think, at halftime. It was the first time ever Bill tried not to lose in the second half instead of keeping his foot on the gas. We almost lost that game. Came out with 3-6-1. There were 2 minutes left in that game, and he comes back and beats us. So we were real lucky, real fortunate, but in terms of fortunes of the Bay Area, not only with the 49ers, but the entire Bay Area. If you remember, Harvey Milk was shot, Jonestown was going on. I mean, the San Francisco was just a mess, and it kind of brought the city back together.
Yeah, it's a good point. It really was a unifying event, and you are a big part of it. And of course, Mike has been working in the media now for many, many years, working at KGO Television, and you guys are doing both pre and post game with the NBA Finals on your local ABC affiliate. And Talk a little bit about this Warrior team, Mike, because I've watched a lot of Warrior games, as you have over the years, and I can't remember, even these last couple of years, seeing a team that is this deep, this talented, and there just don't seem to be any chinks in the armor of this team.
Well, it's a team that was tough to beat anyway, and then they had Kevin Durant. And this series right here, Bruce, what they brought Kevin Durant in was to beat Cleveland. And it's been a lot of fun watching them. They blew a 3-1 lead last year. Nobody's ever done that. Lost 3 straight games, 2 of them at home, including a game 7 when Steph was the unanimous MVP, 2-time MVP. And he didn't show up. Now, he was injured, apparently, according to a lot of people. And so, to me, Steph, pressure's on Steph and KD in this series. LeBron loves them because they're just a defending champ and they're the underdog. So, no pressure. They just want to play. Both teams know what to expect. Both teams know, what they're facing. This is the 3rd straight year, first time that's ever happened. And so I think it's just going to be a great series. But it's hard to bet against the Warriors with that lineup and those 4 guys. It's just amazing, like you said, Bruce. We've never seen a team like this.
Hey, Mike, stay with us if you could for one more segment. I know you're busy. One more segment. We got to cut to a quick commercial break here, and we're going to go to our trivia questions. First one is, all the questions are banned from baseball. That's our theme. Okay, here's the first question. Which New York Giant player, remember baseball,
Right,
was banned from baseball for stealing a car?
Ooh.
You got to go back in time for this, because obviously you got to go back before 1958, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's our question: is which New York Giant player was banned from baseball for stealing a car?
Interesting.
All right.
Wow.
And when we come back, we're going to ask Mike Shuman a little bit more questions about the NBA. Because what it reminds me of is Celtics Lakers during the 80s, because they kept playing each other.
They played each other.
Not 3 times in a row, though.
Not 3 times in a row. They played 2 years in a row, and then and then there was a year where they didn't play, and then they played again.
They played again. Okay, that's what I thought.
I think it was 3 out of 4 years, or 3 out of 5, something like that.
Yeah, it's been McHale and Kareem and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Back and forth. Yeah,
Dennis Johnson, Larry Bird, Magic, yeah.
All right, so stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, and we're going to be right back.
Pretty easy getting into the arena tonight, or today? I guess there's nobody there.
Well, I would come early because I'm doing like 5 radio shows. You never know with traffic.
Oh, you're doing a bunch of other things, too. Some radio stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing a bunch of hits with ESPN.
Cool.
Yeah, but what's more important than Sports Econ 101, right?
Nobody.
We're number 6. We're number 6.
Oh, man, okay.
Let me save
just
this.
Ready to go here.
Almost ready here. I'm just saving this file.
God, how do you like this weather? Isn't this spectacular?
Oh, great.
Thank goodness.
Yesterday.
Nice. Where'd you play?
Peacock.
Oh, sweet. It's a nice course.
All right, here we go. Do you live in Marin, Mike?
I live in Mill Valley.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm in Center Fell. Okay, here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Bruce McGowan. First trivia question. Which New York Giant player was banned from baseball for stealing a car?
Well, I remember they had an infielder by the name of Hank Thompson. As a matter of fact, he was one of the first African-American players. And he got in trouble with the law, but I think it was after his career was over. I think he got in armed robbery or something like that.
I'm going to guess this had to do with Kennesaw Landis.
Oh, going back to the 30s or something.
20s. Benny Koff, 1920.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I remember hearing about that. It's kind of an obscure name, but yeah.
Right.
No, he actually was a pretty good player back in the day.
Remind our listeners who.
Yeah, we're talking with Mike Shuman, and I know Mike is very busy. We're going to let him go in just a few minutes here, but we got to ask you a little bit more about this great series. I mean, the thing that has amazed me, Mike, is in the first few rounds. As a matter of fact, up until this championship round, there have been very few compelling games. I think the Warriors have been in 1 or 2 that they've been challenged. The game, of course, where they had to come back against San Antonio, and the same is true with all the other teams and all the other rounds. There just hasn't. It's almost like the whole postseason has been void of drama. So we're really maybe even more so anticipating some excitement with this series. And you think it might live up to it?
Well, it's been, everybody said, we're just waiting to get to the finals for these 2 teams to match up again. And it was boring. And the Warriors didn't face a team that had a full roster without injuries. Portland had Nurkic, Gobert was hurt against Econ, of course, Dwight Clark wasn't there for San Antonio stuff. They really haven't had any adversity. And you'd like to have a little bit, and in Boston. I'd like to have a little bit coming in, you know, so it'll be interesting to see. Games 1 and 3 are always key games to me. You know, the first one here and then the first one in Cleveland. And I think if LeBron's worth a victory himself, and they'll get one in Cleveland. And tonight might be the one that Cleveland gets here. The Warriors have been off for almost. When you're a jump shooting team like they are, you know, you need rhythm, and so you can catch them off guard. And early on, it's always a frenetic pace, you know, and they have so much adrenaline, like any championship game. That it's kind of a sloppy game for the first 5 minutes. Yep. But you have to get ahead. It makes it fun. So it'll be an interesting series, and Cleveland's going to have to play well. Everybody on their roster, Kyrie, Kevin Love, their bench. This is the strongest roster they've had in 3 years, and the strongest roster the Warriors have had in 3 years. So, no excuses, no injuries. Right, let's see who's going to win the run.
Yeah, it's amazing how the Warriors, every time at the beginning, the first 3 minutes of the game, they're not in rhythm at all. It's rare, very rare that they just hit shot after shot, but then after a couple of quarters.
It usually doesn't take very long. Yeah, it's interesting to watch the Warriors too. The chemistry. People talk about it. A lot of us who cover the team, as you do, Mike, talk about how there is such great chemistry, and by that we not only mean what they do on the floor together, but the way they react to each other. How Steve Kerr has always used that word joy. How we want to play the game with joy, and that's something you don't see a lot of in any sport to that level. And I think that is something that the Warriors have sort of captured. It's an intangible quality, but it's a beautiful thing to have because it translates into not only great play on the court, but you just love seeing this team play. They're a fun team to watch.
There's no question, and they don't care who gets the credit. Even though they have 2 MVPs on this team and superstars, they don't care who gets the credit. And you can watch the bench. It simplifies the way they feel about each other. Watching the bench is like a game with anything. All right, but that boy, at some point, is play in the finals, got to have the grit to win the NBA. Yeah. That's what I didn't see from the Warriors last year. Yeah. You know, Steph just didn't show up. And I'm not sure if it was the injury, but if you're a two-time MVP, unanimous first ever, and LeBron just treated you like you were a YMCA, that's what Steph Curry has to do this year. He needs an MVP-like performance in the finals to move up to the next level. He's not an MJ, a Magic, Larry Bird, LeBron class right now. But if he were to have performance, most of the great players in the past teams were all over 6'6". Right? So it's rare when we've seen a guy like this 6'3", do what he is doing. But he's got to show up. And KD's only been to one finals and lost to LeBron. And he's got to do it. So the pressure is really on those guys carrying this team.
You know, I got to ask you, you're around these guys a lot. For those people out there who may not even know that much about the Warriors or the Cavs or watch a game other than just casually, what is it like being around these guys? And right now with the atmosphere, there's so much international media. What's it like trying to maneuver your way into a situation where you can actually ask a reasonable question without having 8 or 10 people you have to push out of the way to be heard?
Yeah, it's kind of a nightmare right now, Bruce. You know, you've covered Super Bowls, World Series, NBA championships. It just every round you get a little more. Early on, there's 6 teams and there's 8 and there's 4. So more media starts showing up each week. Now we're down to the final. So it becomes a nightmare. But there's only 50 players. It's not like football or baseball where you have 55 or 25. So it kind of limits your opportunities. But I've been on the road with them since February. They know me. They feel comfortable with me. You know, there's always that one guy who's local that's kind of a go-to guy for them.
Who is your go-to guy, by the way? Do you have one?
Kind of known as the white-haired dude. A couple of years ago, Raymond Ritter, the cigar guy, asked Clay Thompson, "Hey, you want to talk to Stu?" And he goes, "That's that white-haired dude from the Niners." That became my kind of mascot. So anyway, it's been a pleasure to cover them. They're a great team to be around. They're very open. They're very accessible. But the NBA takes over here in the final round, so it makes it a lot more difficult.
Two of the guys that really intrigue me are Andre Iguodala and David West. Andre Iguodala, the #1 reserve, and they're both very thoughtful. Very, when you talk to them, you can see them. They're measuring their words. There's a lot more to both those guys.
No question. And David gave up probably $10 million, get a ring, and hopefully he can be here and about $4 million. Odds on David, Mel McGee, you got nothing. And I think they're paying like $4 million total for
That's a bargain today, yeah.
It's got to be huge because in Boston, they didn't have everybody down low at rim protector on top of LeBron. So. And then Andre, people forget, he was the Greek freak before the Greek freak. He came out in the 76ers, very athletic, he covered, could run, could dribble. A lot of people forget about that. And he's a pleasure to talk to, and he's a big golfer, too. We both love golf, talking golf all the time.
That is so cool.
Next time I'll have to invite you to the tournament that we go to down at Peninsula Golf and Country Club every year.
There you go.
Available.
Yeah.
Well, so your prediction?
I'm the best sport we'll ever find.
Your prediction is the Warriors in 6?
I'm saying the Warriors in 6, but if they don't win in 6, Cavaliers are going to win.
Really?
I'm
Wow.
giving the Warriors an opportunity. I've seen Cleveland the last years and was right most years. Because if Kyrie doesn't get hurt in that first championship season, I don't think the Warriors can get it. So, you got to prove it to me, though. You know, if you lost 3 straight games last year with a 3-1 lead, I got to question your heart if that's the case.
Well, but in fairness to the Warriors, Draymond was taken out of Game 5. Curry was obviously not at full strength. And Andrew Bogut didn't play the last 5 games. I mean, those are huge losses they had.
But you still have to prove it. You know, I'm not a homer like most people around here. You got to prove it to me because I've played on this team. I know what it takes.
Yeah. Good point.
Prove to me, and Steph and KD are the two like I've talked about.
Well, when they lost Game 6 last year, you knew Game 7 was gone.
That's just it.
Yeah.
I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Warriors in 6, if not, Cavaliers in 7.
Cool.
Hey, Mike, really quickly before we let you go, 49ers coming up this year. What do you think?
Well, I think they found 2 guys that can turn it around. They're both football lifers. It's John Lynch, Jim, and Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, the head coach. You know what they want. You know what they're going to do. They know what kind of defense and offense they're going to play. So they've got 50 players on that roster out of 90. So they pretty much got rid of everything Trent Baalke's done the last 10 years. And so I like where they're going. It's just taking a couple of years. You got to be patient, but I think they found the right guys, and they got to find that franchise quarterback in the meantime. So, but I think we'll see a lot better performance on the field this year.
Hey, Shu, it's great talking to you, man. We'll see you out at the game tonight. Have a good show, and keep up the good work on television.
All right, guys. Thanks.
All right. Thanks again, Mike.
All right, that is Mike Shuman, former 49er wide receiver, and for many, many years a broadcaster with KGO. As a matter of fact, I worked with Mike at KNBR, the all-sports radio station, for several years, and just a really good guy, and I think he's got a pretty good fix on what is going on with the Warriors and the Cavaliers. And as I said, most of our listeners who are NBA fans know that these are clearly the best 2 teams, and I think without any question, Edward, they're the best 2 teams. The Warriors have the best addition they've had in the last 3 years, no question, and conversely, the Cavaliers are as deep and as talented as they've ever been. I just think it's going to be a great series. I'm expecting 6 games, maybe 7. I don't think the Warriors will lose. You got to remember, the Warriors have won 27 of their last 28 games.
Yeah.
And the only game they lost was a meaningless game after they had clinched the best record to the Utah Jazz, and they lost that by like 10 points. So, I mean, this team is peaking at the right time. They're winning their games in the postseason by an average of almost 17 points a night. That's impressive.
Well, I know I can only imagine that the TV ratings people are going to be very happy.
I think they're going to do well. I've been watching a lot of the hockey. The hockey games have been great. There have been so many overtime games, and the hockey has been a lot more compelling. For whatever reason, hockey is much better in the postseason than the NBA. I hope that changes in the finals here.
All right. Well, let's go to our next commercial break.
Sounds like a deal.
All right. So, which pitcher, they were talking about being banned from baseball. Which pitcher was banned from baseball? I'm not going to give you the year yet.
Okay.
See if you can get this. And still later, became a member of the Hall of Fame.
Interesting. Oh, yeah.
All right. We'll come back. Then I'll give you the year. And then
Okay.
You might get it from the year.
Okay.
All right. So that's our question. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. Don't touch that down. We're going to be right back.
Cool. God. And then later admitted to the Hall of Fame? Banned from baseball and later admitted.
Which is kind of weird. I don't know.
Boy, I'm totally flabbergasted. I have no idea. Absolutely none.
Johnny Lamaster.
Johnny Master. God. He's everything. Whenever I think about the Giants and the mediocre teams of the early '80s, I always think of Johnny LeMaster.
My dad used to call him Johnny Disaster.
Well, he was a good fielder, but he couldn't hit his weight.
Yeah.
Just could not hit his weight. I think he had 1 year where he hit over 250. Good fielder, though. You know, he's one of the better fielders. Imagine Brandon Crawford with that at bat. That was Johnny LeMaster. Although I don't think he was good. Brandon Crawford. I think Brandon Crawford is the best shortstop the Giants ever had, and that includes Chris Spire. But Chris Spire wasn't here as long.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Spire was good, but no, Brandon definitely is better. In fact, Mike had. It's so funny. You probably relate to him a little bit more. My dad like Bob Nepper was really very frustrating. There's
he had
just
one really good year.
One good year.
Yeah.
My dad used to, when he found out that he was Christian, it was like stop pitching with the Bible.
Yeah, he was hardcore. You never wanted to talk politics with him either. He was to the right of Attila the Hun. Don't talk politics. Kind of like Kurt Schilling. You see, Kurt Schilling is.
I haven't seen lately what he said.
What he had to say the other day? He said that the guy Adam Jones got taunted, racial taunts in Boston, and they threw things at him, and he said, "Oh, he's lying." He's lying? Why would he lie about such a thing? He's lying. There's that stuff doesn't happen in Boston. God, what a stupid thing to say. What a stupid thing to say. God.
Yeah, I remember him getting taunted.
Well, Kurt Schilling he's an asshole. I mean, as a person and as that aside, he's an asshole. I mean, that's just a dumb thing to say.
Okay, tell us what you really feel.
Yeah, no, it is. It's just, come on, Kurt. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm sure it'll show up on Kurt's personal computer. Sorry, Kurt. Nice guy. I actually think you're a good pitcher. He was a good pitcher, actually.
Yeah, he was. Especially with the sock.
Yes, with the bloody sock,
socks.
which is now at Cooperstown.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
The one time I went there, it had only been there for a couple of years.
Oh yeah, that's a fun place to visit. It's kind of out of the way though. God, it's way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful area, but it's just out in the middle of nowhere. You
I'll
have to
talk
make
a little bit about that, and then we'll get into some stuff.
Yeah. Sure.
I'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce.
You sound like a musical instrument the way
la
you did
la
that.
Okay, here's our second band from baseball question.
Band from baseball.
Said Art. Oh my God, I can't remember his name.
Art Carney?
No. This week in baseball.
Mel Allen. Mel Allen. This week in baseball.
That's right. Which pitcher was banned from baseball?
How about that?
How about that? And then later became a member of the Hall of Fame.
I have no idea.
Okay, now I want to give you the year.
Give me a hint.
1980.
1980, he was banned
from baseball. 1980.
And then he came back and
he
was banned for like a year, right, or something. He was kicked out for a year.
Theoretically, I'm trying to remember how long he was banned for.
What was he banned for?
I think it was drugs.
Wow. Okay. I'm
Fergie.
Ferguson Jenkins. That's
I remember that he was banned. I remember that he was banned.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Mike Shuman mentioned about like Harvey Milk. But that wasn't in 1973.
No, it was 78, actually.
78.
A couple years before. But there was a lot of stuff going on in San Francisco at that time.
I know, because I kept thinking, that didn't happen in 80 or 81. I remember.
Yeah, it was right around that time, though. I mean, it was interesting because we didn't mention the Raiders as a wild card won the Super Bowl the year before with a kind of a 1 in a million kind of a chance of a team. And the 49ers the next year against Philadelphia. And the next year the Niners win. And both those teams the next year after winning did not make the playoffs. As a matter of fact, the Raiders did not make the playoffs in 81. And then they moved to L.A. in 82. The Niners didn't make the playoffs in the strike season, and they didn't win a home game in '82 as the defending champions. They lost all 5 home games.
Well, I remember when the 49ers won their first Super Bowl against Cincinnati, I remember thinking internally, this is probably the worst Super Bowl team that has ever won. Well, if you look at all the Super Bowl,
you could say the same thing about the Raiders. The Raiders were a wild card team. I mean, they got hot down the stretch. I thought next year they weren't very good.
True.
But
that wasn't very good. So at break, we were just briefly talking about the Hall of Fame. So we're talking about how it's in Cooperstown, which is kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Flying to Syracuse is
pretty,
what we did.
Pretty area.
Yeah.
You know,
it's beautiful.
But you have to make an effort to go. If you want to go to Cooperstown, that's, you can't just say, we're going to go a bunch of places in Cooperstown. You got to make an effort to go to Cooperstown because it's really off the beaten path.
Well, because my birthday's in January, my wife decided, hey, I'll give a January birthday to Cooperstown because I always wanted to go to Cooperstown. Right?
Okay. Interesting idea.
Yeah. Oh, that was great.
Okay.
It's for my son and me. And then I looked at it. I said, "Wait a minute! You've got me going in January.
Good time to go though.
To New York.
Well, I mean the weather, but I mean good time to visit the museum. There's nobody there.
Yeah, bingo.
Yeah.
So the time that we went, not only was there like nobody there, but a freeze was coming toward the west and a heat wave was going toward the east.
Wow.
So we had perfect weather, and I got to just spend a full 8 hours just looking at everything and anything, and what great memories.
Yeah.
We were talking about Kurt Schilling's sock was in there.
It's interesting. I've been to the Baseball Hall of Fame, I've been to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and I've been to the Football Hall of Fame. I've never been to the Basketball Hall of Fame, which is actually encompasses college and pros. It's in Springfield, of all places. But the other sports, football, hockey, and baseball, all are concentrating on the professional top, leagues, NFL, Springfield, Massachusetts. Yeah, which was,
Illinois.
that's, James A. Naismith, who supposedly invented the game. That's where he was coaching, I guess. So, no, it's interesting. You go to those places and you go in those museums, and it just blows you away, the history. I mean, we forget. A lot of people think of baseball as kind of a curiosity and such a weird sport, but it has a history, and it's one of the few things in America that has not changed radically in over 100 years.
Well, especially when they played it during the Civil War.
Well, they played a different game in those days. The mound was shorter. You could actually throw a guy out by hitting him throw the ball at him and hit him.
And you could throw underhand.
That's right. Yeah. And a lot of guys threw sidearm. In the old days, they had a lot of different. But the modern game today, 60 feet 6 inches, 90 feet between the bases, three outs, all those things. That's 1903 was the first year the National and American Leagues played in the World Series. So it's really, you think about it, that's 114 years. That's a long time.
The next year, was it John McGraw said, we're not going to play these upstarts.
That's right. 1904, John McGraw's team won the National League, and they did not play the American League champion. That's a Bush League. And, of course, the year after that they did, and they won convincingly. So
yeah, but in 1903,
Boston
won it.
Boston beat, I believe, Philadelphia. I believe that's who they beat. I think it was Boston and the A's.
And wasn't Boston in the were they in the?
They were in the American League.
Okay.
I'm sorry, no, that wouldn't have been the Boston A's. It would have been Boston and somebody else. Who was it?
Yeah, I thought it was the Giants.
No, Giants were in the second. We're in the third one.
Just in the third.
God, Pittsburgh. It was Pittsburgh.
Okay, so Pittsburgh was. I mean, they had Honus Wagner and all that. So
actually, I think Pittsburgh might have won it. Well, I'm not sure. I can't remember.
No, I think Boston did win it.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
So they may be upstarts, but they won the first World Series.
Yeah, how about that? After all this,
Maybe he was just scared, going, "This is a no-win situation."
Think about Boston, though. They didn't win a World Series for 80 some odd years. Then they won 3 in 7 or 8 years.
Well, it's like the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants, and of course the Chicago White Sox waited for many, many years. The Cubs. It's great that since the turn of the century, you've had all these teams that have gotten rid of these long droughts. The only one that hasn't is Cleveland. Cleveland needs to win a World Series. I'd like to see Cleveland
or a Super Bowl.
That's not going to happen in our life. Not in my lifetime. Maybe in yours. Not in mine. That ownership is horrible. Speaking of bad ownerships, everybody's been talking about the Warriors having great ownership, and they do. But think about the Warriors and the Cavs back in the 80s and the 90s. These were two of the dog meat franchises of pro sports. The Cleveland had an owner by the name of Ted Stepien, who traded away some of the best draft picks that turned out to be star players. He was just an idiot.
Who did he trade away back then?
Oh, God, I can't even remember who it was. But he made some horrible deals. And then Chris Cohan, who took over the Warriors in 1994, they went to one postseason playoffs in 17 years. You have to.
And that's where like half the teams make it.
Well, just think about it. How many teams don't make the playoffs every year? And his team didn't make it for 16 to 17 years. And now since Joe Lacob and Peter Guber took over the team, they've been to the finals now 3 years in a row, and to the playoffs 5 years in a row. So that's quite a contrast, and we forget how quickly things can change. That makes you feel, encouraged if you have a bad team. Of course, you do have to have good ownership. That is the key. A good ownership is, you have good ownership, and everything else falls into place.
So let's see here. Going on to a little bit of business part. Reading a little bit of Sports Illustrated here. They're talking about like cable television, and ESPN is in 12 million fewer homes than it was in 2011.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And they just negotiated for some huge. Well, one of the reasons they cut a lot of staff was that they had spent so much getting the rights to all these games And they overpaid, I think. And,
exactly, and that's it. One lawyer present with the negotiations, he chuckles when he recalls ESPN's most recent NBA contract. He says if that deal was done today, it would look much different. We're talking 30% less.
Wow.
He goes, and that deal was only made 16 months ago.
That's interesting about ESPN. They started their television operations in the late 70s, early 80s. Didn't really start making an impact until the mid to late 80s. But their all radio network didn't start until the mid 90s. And when they came along, they kind of acted like we're the big dogs in the kennel, and they pretty much forced everybody else out. Mutual Radio, NBC Radio, CBS Radio. I mean, they all still do a little sports here and there, but most of them have fallen by the wayside. I used to do a lot of freelance work for these networks, and I'm glad I stopped doing it in the 90s because once ESPN came along, they pushed all these guys out. Not good for competition, I'm sorry. And I did a lot of work for ESPN. No disrespect to the guys and gals that are on the air there, but I don't think it's a good thing when you have one company dominating like that. It's just not good for it's not good for the people who are your customers, and it's not good for the industry in general.
Well, now you have Fox Sports, Turner.
You do, and television is a little different. But radio, radio used to thrive with all these different networks. They're all still around, but they don't do sports like they used to do, and they've been pretty much forced out of the business.
It's funny. In the 80s, I used to write articles for some business magazines, and they were paying us between $500 to $1,000 an article back then.
Yeah.
Now it's free.
Oh yeah, you should be pleased to to let us we're going to allow your byline to appear in our august publication.
Yeah. And it's funny because in the old days in the 80s, business magazines were really thick, and then the recession 1990 hit, and those magazines just they about 25% of what they were with the pages. No advertisers, and
wow,
it's crazy.
That is great. Well, it's a crazy world we live in. I think that's why we turn to sports, because it provides us with a solace and a nice distraction, so to speak. And they're the worst you can do is lose in sports. Really, I mean, there are a lot of stories away from the game that are unhappy and unpleasant, but the athletes and what goes on in the courts, on the fields of play. It's fun. It's fun to be around.
There's a couple other interesting things about this article that I mentioned. It's in college athletics, though, are a little different. For one thing, there's no player salaries to slash.
Right.
So, and cutting an unprofitable program is complicated by Title IX legislation.
Mm-hmm.
So you have these kind of different issues.
Colleges, it's a lot different. And, of course, it has changed dramatically. Still, the two sports that generate the most revenue are men's basketball and football. And they pretty much carry most of the other sports. There are only a few teams, like, say, the women's basketball team at Econ, which has been a perennial national championship. They draw good crowds, and I'm sure they bring in revenue, but there are not that many. There's hockey teams here and there. I'm sure there's a soccer team and a lacrosse team that bring in some revenue, or a baseball team here and there. But generally speaking, it's baseball, or I should say football and basketball. So you have to have strong programs, and that's why there's such an emphasis on going out and getting these kids. And they're it's become almost like they're a factory. To be honest with you, Edward, I don't follow the college sports very much anymore. I really don't, because I find them very pretentious, except for on the small college level. I just think that they talk about amateurism, and it's kind of an empty boast to me. I don't know.
I wonder the big draw for basketball and football programs as compared to baseball. Is it just a faster sport?
Well, I think it's the immediate gratification, and also baseball is a sport where it's going to take you a while to reach a level where you're going to get some attention from the major league scouts. Football, basketball, if you have the raw talent, it can be refined a lot more quickly. Baseball is a skill sport. Hitting a baseball is a very, very difficult thing to do. Pitching a baseball, and so a lot of kids just don't have the patience for that anymore, and I think they want their gratification now. Also, unfortunately, a lot of the athletes who used to come from the inner city, who are American athletes, I'm talking about African American, and also poorer athletes, can't afford to go on these travel teams that are going around the country now 6-7 months a year. So the sport has changed. The demographics of the sport have changed. It's interesting. If you look at baseball, it's almost of the American players, it's probably 90% Caucasian, 10% African American, maybe less. And then there's a lot of Latino players, of course. But for football, once you get to the pro level, 75% African American.
I wonder Well, I wonder too, because a lot of parents are talking about not having their kids play football because
Play
of
football?
the CTE and all that.
Well, I wanted to ask Mike about that because Harry Edwards, I think we had him on the show before, the sociologist from Berkeley, said that one of the problems with football is in the future, it's going to be tough to get the kids from the suburbs, the well-fed kids, the well-educated kids, quote unquote, because they have so many more other opportunities, and football is going to become sort of the corner for, it's like boxing, you know, it's for the kids that are desperate, and this is their one chance to get out. So you're going to see more inner city kids, you're going to see more African American kids, simply because there are more kids from those parts of the country that are in tough situations.
All right, we're going to cut to our last commercial break here. Trivia question. This talk about ban from baseball. Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis banned the owner of which National League team in 1943 for betting on his own games? All right, that's our trivia question. And when we come back, we're going to Sports Econ 101. We'll have some closing comments.
Closing thoughts.
All right.
All right. God, I am not good with these. I thought you would have one of the.
A little easier one.
Oh, I thought you were going to have one from the 1919 Black Sox, but I.
Oh, Kennesaw Mountain Landis was during that time.
Yeah, he actually was. He was hired because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad thing about Kennesaw Mountain Landis, though, he was a racist, and he would not allow African American players. Refused. Absolutely refused. And he could have opened the doors. They could have opened the doors much earlier than they did. Sad.
That could have been the 20s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they actually had Oscar Fleetwood play
In the 1880s.
in the 1880s, 1990s, and that was a good old. What's the guy's name? He was a great hitter, Georgia guy. Can't remember his name. He said, "Get that nigger off the field." I mean, seriously, he said that.
I mean, that.
Cap Anson.
Oh, Cap Anson. Oh, yeah.
Cap Anson. Yeah. Kai Cop wasn't quite as blatant.
Yeah, because he was Georgia too. Right?
He was. Yeah, he was. You got to remember that the world these people lived in. What in the world are you doing here?
My pencil broke,
Oh.
and it's. I'm trying to get the whole thing off.
Oh, okay.
I'll worry about that later. Okay.
Couldn't figure that out. I was going, what the heck is he doing? Jeez, looks like he's eviscerating that pencil. God.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Third trivia question. Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis banned the owner of which National League team in 1943 for betting on his own games?
Well, I remember Leo DeRocher was banished for having known associations with gamblers for a year, but I can't remember an owner who was banned. I remember Bill Veeck was not a popular owner because he did some things the other owners didn't like, but I don't think he ever was banned. Yeah.
William Cox of the Philadelphia Blue Jays which, by the way, was the Phillies, and then came back to the Phillies in 1945.
They were called the Blue Jays? I've never heard that.
Blue Jays, yeah.
Interesting. Just for 1 year?
I think it was 2 years. It was
Okay.
43 and 44.
Who in the world came up with that name? What a bizarre name for a team from Philadelphia, the Blue Jays? I guess
Toronto said, I guess we'll take that name. And
they almost had the Giants. Did you know that the Toronto Giants, the San Francisco Giants, were that close going to Toronto? Closer than the 1976. They had actually padlocked the doors at Candlestick Park. The team had been conditionally sold, and Bob Lurie at the 11th hour found a co-owner, and each of them kicked in $3.5 million. And the co-owner was a guy named Bud Herseth, a cattleman from Arizona, and he literally gave his assent that I will, stick in $3.5 million to buy this team half an hour before the deal would have closed. That's how close the Giants were to leaving and going to Toronto.
That's amazing.
Much closer than when they almost went to Tampa.
Yeah,
in 1992.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so William Cox was betting on them to lose.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So here's our thoughts for the day.
Thoughts for the day.
My formula for success is rise early, work late, and strike oil. Said J. Paul Getty.
Oh, of course. Who else but?
Of course. And I'm always amazed to hear of air crash victims so badly mutilated that they have to be identified by their dental records. What I can't understand is, if you don't know who they are, how do you know who their dentist is?
What bizarre. Who said that?
Paul Merton? I don't even know who that is.
I don't know who that is either. Where'd you find that one anyway? That's a new one.
Under macabre thoughts for the
okay.
day.
Macabre thoughts for the day. There you go.
All right, tune in next week.
Macabre thoughts for the day.
Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions and knowing about thoughts. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long. I thought you liked that one.
Macabre thoughts.
I always try to come up with these fun ones for you.
Macabre thoughts of the day.
Macabre.
Macabre. That's a great word. The macabre.